Hello, welcome to another edition of In the Box. I'm Coach Q. Got Paul Bell sitting across from me. In another state, I should say. Still, his brother, we praying for you as always. We're gonna continue to talk about relationships. And Paul, you've talked about the um, convenience and also the struggles that you deal with, I guess, of being single and spoken about being married and having three kids. You got older kids. How is it being, how do children play in a relationship when you're single? And that's something that we haven't really discussed about and or talked about. And now that you're coming into possibly a blended family relationship, because more than likely the young lady, the young woman that you will be involved with in some way, shape, or fashion may have children, knowing that you do as well, even grandchildren. What's your thoughts on how that has or may impact your
Where is this woman
relationship?
at? Now, but I don't. Prospects are different. I believe that when you deal with blended families, one of the things I look at is the age of the kid, the relationship of the parent to the kid. Uh, Deal breaker for me is parents that say, "Well, I'm not gonna let my kid," and they run the house. It's a flag, man. Parents
Okay.
don't do that because one, that child. One of the things my mom taught me, and respectfully so, that when you put that child first, your relationship is gonna die.
Hmm.
What I mean by that is when my mom and her husband got married, he wasn't my biological father, and we were young. And I always say he plotted out. He knew how long we had before we graduated, so he can have his way. And so when we came of age, one of two things happened. My mom said to me and my brother, "You got two ways to think about it. You can go to college. You got 6 months to get a job. Either way, you got 6 months. You got to figure it out." And then it came a time she said, "Well, it can't never be two men in the house." What do you mean? It can't be two kings. Somebody got to go. So I said, "So when he gonna leave? He ain't leaving." I said, "Oh, okay." And me being the man that I am, very independent, I said, "Say less."
Okay.
But it's important that we gauge what we really want because
Hmm.
parents don't don't put your kids first. Because if you put them first before your relationship, you're gonna put them first before God.
Hmm.
And so that's where the spoiled ruin come in your relationship. If this is making sense, because me, I look at it as if that's what you say, then I'm not gonna argue with what your relationship is with your kid.
Yeah.
And I believe that you have to have a boundary set um, to identify that I'm really ready for a relationship with the significant other. I don't see too many men saying that my daughter, my daughter, my son come first. It's always the women, and I get it, like respectfully. So they carried them for 9 months, 8 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever it may be. But you have to cut the cord because it's a ruin to the kid.
So do you think that that can well, like you said, that can't interfere with a relationship? Have
Yes,
you seen it come between you and any relationship that you may have had at one point in time?
absolutely. I don't even go to. At this point, once I hear those words, I don't let it go no further
Mm. Okay.
because it's a ruin. Because that
Yeah.
kid is going to take over the house.
Okay.
I don't believe no kid should have the key to the house when they leave. Absolutely not. I don't believe that. I've seen where the child disrespectful too. And then, women tell you're not gonna talk to my kid like this. They tell it to the biological father.
Yeah. Now you bring up something that's a good point that women are doing. Do you think that men are doing the same thing at some point in time?
As far as which part?
Putting the children in front of the
I don't see men doing it like that. I see it's most, and again, I'm not in every household, I'm not in every corner. I can only justify what I've seen. I
I'll
don't
take you for
see,
example. You raise young women. Did you feel like that you? And this is a time period before now. I don't know if you were saved or unsaved when you were raising your children. Did you
no,
feel like you?
I didn't put my kids before relationships, but what I did do, I put their care in my hands first. Meaning this, because it's very important. Meaning this, that I wanted to make sure that they had my best. Meaning that a relationship would have distracted me from giving them the attention that they needed as young women. And so, like, as I worked and made sure I showed them ethics first of working, first ethics of one-on-one relationships, meaning that when I did get in a relationship, they understood that, hey, you guys are going to get older and you're not going to need me any longer. I have to be provided for myself, not sexually, but attentively, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, yeah.
Okay. And this leads into the next topic that I wanted to get into.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess this is going to go towards being married, me being married. Okay.
And
Dealing,
you got that one then.
I'm sorry.
You got that one then. I ain't married.
Dealing with how do I put this? Dealing with the desire or potential desire. I'm not gonna say desire. Well, for some it is the desire to look at another woman or for a woman to look at another male while married.
Oh
Okay.
man, that's crazy because you got some couple. Oh man, I could touch this one. You got some couples, man. I hear they people watchers. I'm a people watcher. And you got some. I got a friend, man, at home in Indiana that him and his wife watch other women and men. Not that they're gay or anything. It's just like for me, I like to. I look at other light skinned men because like if they're wearing a suit, I want to know if I look good in that suit.
Okay.
And then watch this. And then in relationships, I watch older seasoned cats like you, Pastor Jay, and like my cousin. I look and see that attention because one of the things I see is that if you are not affectionate, loving your woman at home, it's going to show in public
Okay.
because she's not going to be receptive to. If you and Sister Tennille wasn't close at home and you try to rub on her or kiss her, she like, "What's this? This is new." Or if she's mean to you and you used to it, you be like, or if she's loving on you, be like, where did this come from? It's noticeable, man, and that's
So
why I
you're
say, go
so
ahead.
when you're saying that the PDA is noticeable, or that the love or the lack of love in the home is
Both,
noticeable in public.
both, both. Because what I said that suit thing for a reason. Because if you ain't never seen me in that suit, not seen, man, I mean, yeah. And I put that suit on, you be like, bro, you look pretty good in that. It's
Okay.
noticeable what you look at and what you gravitate to. If that makes sense. Like you ain't allowed to say I'm horrible at analogies or illustrations, but they're my own.
But yeah, they are your own. They are your own. And sometimes you come off the wall, but hey, that's you. No.
That's you.
No, but I was thinking about um two chapters came to mind. Psalm 19, and in Psalm 19, it talks about uh, Psalm 19:13. Keep your servant also. Psalm 19:13. Keep your servant also from willful sin. May they not rule over me. Then I will be blameless, innocent of great transgression. And this is something that we say consistently here at the end of most of our services. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. So I was thinking about how in today's society, male and female, husband and wife, we are. surrounded by media, social media. Um, I don't think that anybody in today's culture can feel comfortable leaving their cell phone anywhere nowadays, right? It's something that we have attached to us practically 24/7. There's some of us who
And
can't
you,
go 5 minutes without having a cell phone. I always tell people try to go 2 or 3 days without cell phone. I love going camping. I have no problem putting my cell phone down, just going off and just being in the woods, being in the tent, being in the cabin. I have no problem doing that. Enjoy
you
doing
know,
that.
it's interesting you say that. And the Holy Spirit just said, what happens when you make it interesting to your wife or your husband and say, baby, let's go on a retreat.
Hmm.
Let's go on a physical, spiritual retreat where it's just you and me.
Yeah,
And when I say you and me, no phone, no kids. When I go fishing, there's no cell phone. This is
yeah.
me, some crackers, and maybe old Meldello. That's it. And I'm just being honest because you need that time. You need that breakaway time.
Hmm.
You can have that breakaway time singly, and if you're married, you and that relationship need to have a break every now and again.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to, because if you can identify yourself and see, okay, let me take a step back. Okay, this is where I am in my marriage. These are all things I plot in my head when I do get married. Let me take a step back. Let me see where I am. Let me see if I'm paying her attention. Let me see if I'm meeting her, addressing her needs. Let me see. Let me see. The Bible, you heard me say, it's an MRI machine. The more that we read it, we can identify our relationship with Christ. Because one of the things I heard we have not said is, what's our relationship with Christ
Hmm.
in our marriage? Because
Yeah.
our marriage should be just like it is with Christ. Are we committed? Are we loyal? Have we saturated ourselves in His Word? Am I saturating myself to my woman? Because Ephesians says we have to wash that woman. Am I identifying that she's important?
It's funny you say that because that's one thing that I consistently stress is that your Christian walk and marriages are the two most similar relationships that you could ever have. Because
Mm-hmm.
in your Christian walk, that's essentially a covenant. You're saying, God, I'm doing what you want me to do. Show me how to be the person that you want me to be. I'm going to live the lifestyle that Christ is asking me to live. And then in your marriage, it's also a covenant, and you are being committed to this, your spouse, and you are trying to do things, and you say until death do us part. So those are the two relationships that are the most similar as far as our makeup is concerned. Um, but to get back to the idea notion, on the same line of it, in this walk, it's imperative that we continue to feed into, like you said, that love pool, that relationship that we have with each other. As soon as we start not to do so, and like the way how you put this, this is one thing I'll give you credit on. Okay, you did say something good. Yes, you. All right, about having the wandering eyes. Okay, or the way you treat each other at home is also should be reflected in public. If you're not giving love at home and all of a sudden you try to be loving in public, or if you're being mean at home and then you're trying to be kind in public, whatever it is, if that mix is not on both sides, it shows. It shows. And then that can cause contention and strife, and people that are observing, like you said, start to wonder, are you genuine? Are you
But did
genuine?
you but did you notice though? Again, we can't elude the fact that it shows our relationship with Christ as well.
You know,
If
I was
we're
getting there.
sitting,
Yeah,
yeah, we show ourselves as leaders, then we try not to do it out in public. It shows.
yeah.
One of the things I read in the Bible study thing, it says that as leaders, one of the things that we notice that if we're following God, people will follow to a
Hmm.
degree. But what I've learned too, and I think I've shared with you this, if people, I tell you that if people don't support you, they don't show up.
Yeah,
And so that means to me that, and this is going to go to marriage, if you're a lazy Christian, it's going to show in your development in the public.
Yeah.
If you're lazy in your relationship, it's going to show in the public. Not that the
Yeah.
public is all that, but one of the things I know about women is they love that public display. They love that affection. They love that attention. And if you strip them of that, guess what's going to happen? They're going to go find it somewhere else. And if you
Yeah.
strip God of his attention, he'll strip you of his.
Yeah. So that goes along with the same line that I was going to get to as far as
I'm sorry.
that scripture that I brought up. No, 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 you're good. As far as the scripture that I brought up, the willful lust, the willful lust. Uh, if we aren't treating each other, and I like the way that Gary Chapman has it, the five love languages. It's important for us to understand how we can fill into or pour into our spouse, right? My wife, okay? If I don't take the time to talk with her, to go out with her, to show her affection, then what's going to happen is that she's going to start looking elsewhere. And that willful lust is going to start to bubble up. And it's not going to be, her desire won't be for me. Okay. And then Jesus put it like this in Matthew 5 and 28. But I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Same thing for a woman. Okay. If she's already looking at a man and desires to be with a man, she's already committed adultery in her heart. Um, but that goes back to what are we rooted and grounded in, right? And that's one thing that we constantly talk about here in the box is that we need to be in the word. We need to be fully, solidly in the word. And it goes with our relationship. If we aren't invested in our relationship, then we're opening the door for our spouse to look elsewhere. Okay. If you are, like you said, with the wife and or the young lady and children, right? And even for the men and their children, because there are some men out there that place their children above anybody else and let the woman know, listen, my children come first. Okay. And that's not the hierarchy, the priority that it should be. And I think you and I both know that. And that's something that today's society has always been, well, you protect yours, you protect yours, you protect yours. Well, two can't become one. Two can't become one if the children are involved. Hey,
They're
now
walking,
granted, huh?
they're walking two different avenues.
Yeah, yeah. Now granted, in an ideal relationship, the two become one, then they have offspring. But nowadays, we are dealing with two people that have different families, two different relationships, prior relationships, and now we're trying to become one. So, and for divorced couples or couples that or people that were married or separated, or whatever it may be, or widowed even, it can be somewhat harder because you still have that attachment, some way, shape, form, or fashion to a previous relationship. All right. Now, of course, widowed is somewhat differently, and we have time to go to that some other time. But um, being married, it's important for us to keep our eyes on, like you said, having that foundation, being rooted and grounded in an understanding of is God first, and then our relationship second. But I cannot forget spending time with my husband or with my wife. Because as soon as I start to do that, I open up that door for that willful lust to come in.
I think that also, Quill, that we not just spending time with the woman because the woman is a very, very intricate part of our life, right? I think too we have to be able to sit down and allow them to talk and actively listen to them. I believe, I ain't gonna say I think, I know. I've been around the block 4 or 5 times that when we don't
Well,
allow them,
let's clarify that you ain't been married 4 or 5 times, right?
no, 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 no. I've listened to some women. I got some good women friends that they help me along the way. We help each other to identify our roles because one, if a woman doesn't feel like she has a safe place, you lost her. One, if a woman has to drive around the corner before she come home, we've lost her. Two, we have to identify, okay, what's the work need? You know, um, think about Eve when she was in that garden. That serpent Spent a lot of time talking to her. Well, I'm just putting on my spiritual cap because it didn't happen overnight that she succumbed to asking questions about God or being threatened or whatever.
I agree.
So if we don't ask the woman what's going on, or if we don't notice the difference in my woman when she comes home, right? Or okay, let's just go there. When women or men change up their sexual things in the bed, that's a sign of cheating. That's a sign of either mentally cheating, she's looking or he's looking at someone else, undressing them, or they've actually indulged in it. And so the changes come. And so
Could
either,
also include pornography.
yeah, I would, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. But that's willful lust. And
yeah,
so we've allowed different concepts to come into the relationships. Now they've having these three, bringing another one. That means you're not fulfilled.
yeah.
So if you're not fulfilled in addressing that woman's need by noticing, one of the things I know, I tell people, I tell women that I talk to, I'm a profiler. I observe, I listen to you. I let you talk so I can hear. Well, that's one of the things a woman loves is for you to hear her, actively hear her, and you can repeat. You know, they teach you this in leadership and other things.
Mhm.
You can respond with, so if I'm hearing you correctly, that means I'm paying attention. Women love that. You'll lose them, men. You'll lose them if you're actively not paying. So that if I hear you correctly, you said this, and so they want to know that they're heard.
Mhm.
I only learned this through my kids, so I that know that this is what it's supposed to be like in a relationship. Are you listening to me? You ain't gotta yell at me. I'm listening to you.
Yeah,
But
funny
that
you say
goes
that
a long
because
way.
yeah, no, no, you're right. Because my wife was the other night she came home, she was just so frustrated. She's like, "Babe, I just cry. What's going on?" So she explained it. I just sat there and listened. I gave her a hug, and she was good. She was good. She just wanted to
You didn't
pour
try
her
to be
heart
a
out.
fixer.
Yeah, no, I just sat there and listened to it. I
Yeah.
didn't. I, I mean, granted, there was several things I could have said. You know what? You need to do blah blah blah. But I just sat there. I was like, you know what? Ain't nothing for me to say right now. You just pour your heart out and just be there. Just be
Yeah.
there.
A big
You're
old,
right.
and you know what? Guess what you just added to your marriage? 5 more extra days.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, all right. So that wraps up this edition of In the Box. If you want to leave some questions, comments, or even some concerns, because we need to pray for this brother. Email us at inthebox317. Again, that's inthebox317 at gmail.com. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all, and we'll see y'all next time. Be blessed.